Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of the Manga Collector Show here at the Omnibus Collectors Network. I am one of your hosts, Gio, here to talk with you guys. We're going to do a good old-fashioned ranking episode, and thank you to everybody that is already tuning in the chat. That is awesome. Multiversity 777. Page one, thank you so much. That is really cool of you guys. And for everybody else watching, of course, let me remind you that you can get your favorite manga when you visit InStockTrades.com. Yes, InStockTrades.com, where you can get your manga and collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts tack on an extra 2% to that. And if you order $50 or more, you get free shipping. Yes, free shipping. You heard me. Fantastic customer service and wonderful packaging only at InStockTrades.com. Page one, thank you, sir, for joining. That is really awesome of you. I was supposed to make a little tier list. I couldn't do it, but I found one on Tier Maker that I'm going to use, which is super convenient because it has everything. There are a couple of titles here that I do not recognize right away, but we'll see what happens when we get to them, right? But yeah, 2020 for Shonen Jump. It's been pretty interesting. Last year I got my Shonen Jump or Viz Media subscription. What do you call it? $2 a month, and it's awesome. But at the time, I wasn't really reading digital, and I think I had it for like a month, and then I dropped it because I really wasn't using it. And it wasn't until this year, I think, I want to say summer 2020 was when I decided to pick it up and started reading all the wonderful titles. And I didn't even know it was like 100 chapters per day. I think one day I was close enough to reaching that cap, but so far I haven't. I try to limit things to they come out, reading that one chapter. So yeah, I quickly started doing videos on my channel, We Can Geek Them, where I started talking like first impressions on different titles like Modi King and all the other titles that I'm totally blanking on the name right now. I started doing that, and it was pretty fun. And I got to say, if it's not Alexander, thank you so much for joining. If it's not something that I'm already collecting, like a Shonen Jump series, I will probably read it digitally because I have no room for stuff. I made a little bit of room, and I can fit some cool things here and there, but everything's already has an assigned series or book. If it's not like Berserk or Maison Ikoku or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, Philip, thank you so much for joining. Give me one quick second while I look for a title live on the air because I am super forgetful. Let's see. Shonen Jump. Here's my co-host logging in right now. Give me a quick second until his device is connected. It says device is not connected. Shoot. Okay. Are you here? All we see is pitch black. Hey, there we go. Nice. Welcome.
Sorry, my computer is slow as butts.
It's all right. Everybody's computer is like that. It's a conspiracy. Everybody, welcome my wonderful co-host, the Omnibus Collector himself, Riley. How you doing, buddy?
Good. It's been a long day, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah. It's been a very boring, frustrating day. Something Wong. Hi, guys. Hi, Something Wong. So I was telling the audience, but now that you're here, I was trying to grab the list of 2020 titles because I have the tier list, which I shared with you on our chat.
Hmm.
But there are a couple of manga that they threw in there that I have no idea what they are, and I haven't read them.
Hmm.
I know most of them, but I think you'll probably know their names. Um, so let's do it. Before I share my screen, what do you think overall about Shonen Jump 2020? All the different titles. Was it
Um,
good compared to
there's
last
a.
year? Better?
Let me think. So I'm trying to think of what series launched last year. I guess Chainsaw Man launched last year, and I
Hmm.
think Jujutsu Kaisen launched last year as well.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously those are two really strong series. Um, I've only read the first 8 chapters or whatever of Chainsaw Man, so I can't speak that much on it. But um, and then the end of 2020 was when we had Mission Yozakura start, I think, or the end of 2019. 2020 has brought a lot of fun titles, and I think the most fun thing about 2020's new titles is this is the first time that I've made a point of reading everything in the magazine.
Yeah.
So I have this different um, impression on stuff than I would normally, where I'm just reading whatever comes out in the U.S.
Mm.
So this year's stuff, though, I know we had because 2019, I think there were a lot of series that started and got canceled within like 20 or so chapters. And of the 2020 series so far, we haven't had, I don't know the last thing that got canceled, but we've got a lot of really strong contenders that have popped up that, we've got a couple of them that I've really loved from the video that I did, and then we even had a couple of strong ones that popped up just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we're
Uh,
still doing good stuff in 2020 with the manga.
I think Act Age was the one that got canned, right? Because of the whole controversy. This,
Yeah, so Act Age got canned this year, and then a lot of things wrapped up, I think, this year and last year, and then a lot of short series got canceled.
mm,
Like, I don't remember everything, but if I look through like the app, there's a lot of series that, like, I think there was like Zipperman and Bone Collector and I don't know, just a whole bunch of them that got ended pretty quickly.
yeah. That was shoot. Samurai 8 was that this year that got canned too?
It got canceled this year. I don't remember if it started last year though.
No. Tyler brings up a good point. Is this list titles that started in 2020 or just everything released in 2020? It's going to be stuff in 2020. We're not going to talk about 2019 titles because otherwise, Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu and all that stuff would be like A and S tier or
Yeah.
whatever. So
This is I did this video on my channel where I ranked the 12 newest titles, and this was before Build King and Sakamoto Days started.
yeah,
And so it was the 12 newest titles, and I did that with the intent because it was a lot of stuff that people would not be familiar with,
yeah,
because these titles until like literally right before I did the video, until then there was no announcement for physical release in English. There's no anime adaptation because these are all titles that have been around for a year or less. So my goal with that video was to kind of spread knowledge about those series to people, to let them know, what's worth reading, what's not. Because a lot of times people don't start reading something until there's hype behind it because of an anime. Or in the case of Chainsaw Man, like Viz advertised the hell out of the first volume before it came out.
yeah.
So that's kind of the point here is us giving discussion to these titles that you you may not have read just yet.
Perfect. All right. So let let's share my screen here because I got the list. All right. Do I need to zoom in, or is that good for everybody?
I think zoom in if you can.
Okay. Okay. How about now?
Yeah, I mean, should be fine.
All right. Okay, so as you can see, the list is pretty small. I'm not sure if this is everything. Like, for example, I don't know what this is, and I have no idea what this one is over here at the bottom. But I'm pretty sure you told me about one of them. I'm not sure which one it was.
Can you zoom in on them so I can try and see if I know them?
Yeah. Let's go in. There we go.
All right.
Okay, so that's the list that we're going to be talking about.
Which ones are you not?
This one over here at the my cursor is pointing at, but beneath Magu-chan.
That might be Zipperman. I'm not 100% sure because that's the stuff that like it started in the year, early in the year, and I didn't read it. I also don't know what the one beside Burn the Witch is.
This one
with the
I have no idea.
But I think the other side of that is Ayakashi Triangle.
This one?
Yeah, I think that's Ayakashi, and then next to that, I don't know what that one between that and Burn the Witch is.
And this is I have no idea what this is either. We're the manga collectors, guys. But yeah. All right, so let's do them in order. Let's start here. A Gravity Boys. What do we think about that?
This one has. When I made that video, someone made the perfect comment about it. Like it's got really good. Was it bro aura? Is what they said.
Yeah.
It has that same sense of comedy as like Grand Blue Dreaming does, where it's just a bunch of guys, having fun and stuff. But it's got like the sci-fi twist to it. Where they're basically the story, because I know not everyone's going to be familiar with stuff. The Earth is done, and there's a bunch of people that left Earth on spaceships, and they're supposed to, find places where they can recolonize and all that jazz. And these guys accidentally go through a wormhole, and when they pop out the other side, it's like 20 years have passed or whatever it is, and they land on this planet, which is inhabitable, but there's no people there. And so it's them coming out and being like, all right, well, now we're going to have to like form society. And it leads towards a bunch of funny things. The number one issue being, how are we going to form a society when there's no women? So we can't make more people if we don't have women. So it leads towards a lot of funny situations, and you get the comedy really takes off once you start becoming familiar with the personalities of each of the characters, which is where that series shines. I don't know, Gio, if you're still reading it every week, but oh, my sister's in the chat. What's up?
Nice.
The most recent chapter from this last week, like I was reading it while my wife was asleep last night, and I had to stop myself from cracking up so much. It was funny.
It's a good balance of hilarity. You don't expect these guys to solve everything, and just to see them get into such terrible scenarios and how they can overcome things, usually with lowbrow humor. It is pretty funny. Although I will say, I haven't been keeping up with it, but most of the stuff I've read, there were a couple jokes that didn't land for me, but for the most part, it's really enjoyable because of that bromance that you mentioned. I do enjoy that, and the fact that it's very, most of the series that we're going to talk about are very episodic in nature. Like, most of them are like chapter of the week, where everything gets resolved, and then we move on to the next story the following week. So we'll have to see how they continue progressing to see if like our ratings will change or something.
Yeah.
I dug it. It's a fun show. It's a funny series, I want to say.
Yeah, it can go up and down in quality because, like you said, since it is that like story of the week type deal where most of it's not
Yeah,
connected stories between chapters, you can have some that'll fall flat and some that'll be really good. Like the most recent one,
yeah,
basically it's a play on Bleach and the sword spirits that they have.
nice.
Except it's not exactly for a sword; it's for a certain male appendage, and it just had me rolling the entire time. But I would say that that one, I think it deserves a B because it's solid and it's usually really funny. And once you get to know the characters, it's really charming.
Yeah,
And they really work well with each other. And as more characters are introduced, there's a lot more fun to be had. And it just has that perfect bro aura to it where you almost feel like you could be part of that friend group. It's the same with like
yeah.
Grand Blue Dreaming and stuff where like with Grand Blue Dreaming it's like you feel like you could be sitting there drinking beer with these guys.
What was the name of the fifth character that's not in the cover? The oh shoot, like
The
the
higher
otherworldly
being,
higher being. I love the interactions with that character.
it's a 3 word thing though. It's something else.
Yeah,
It's basically higher being and they're introduced like in the first chapter. It's like it's almost like the Watcher in this world or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like they get to this planet Alpha Jumbro, and then all of a sudden, like the higher being shows up, and the comedy aspect, like the whole joke of the first chapter, is the higher being comes out and says like, I can make one of you a woman, so that you guys can like
Yeah, I remember.
repopulate, so you can form a society, and they have to sit there and like decide which one of them they think should be a woman and it's really funny how it plays out and it doesn't really amount to anything in the end but that higher being character like continues to stay around as
Hmm.
this Uatu the Watcher type character that pops in and pops out whenever and just has some sort of impact on the story almost like this sometimes like a Deus Ex Machina where like something is happening and then they're like, oh, what about the higher being, and it's just like, what's up.
Definitely. So yeah, I think a B is all right for it. You know, it's a good middle of the road series where uh, you can go in, have fun, and you're not going in for like this masterpiece
Yeah,
storytelling. But it's still wholesome and funny.
yeah. There's for the most
Uh,
there's not that much fan service, and when it is fan service, it's usually like cheesecake, like dudes with their shirts off, which is
yeah.
always funny.
Hmm.
But
All
speaking
right.
of fan
So
service, the next one is Ayakashi Triangle.
I have to admit, I have not read this. You told me about it, but I
Okay,
completely forgot to check it out. So I'll
so
leave that to you.
this one is by the same writer and artist as the series Black Cat. And I'm a big Black Cat fan. That series I read back when I was in high school. It was a lot of fun, great action shonen series. That creator also was the artist of the series To Love Ru and To Love Ru Darkness, excuse me, which are a lot more fan service heavy, leaning into like ecchi type stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
not into that. So when I found out about this series, I found out about this series because I was trying to make sure that everything was available on the Shonen Jump app, and this one's not because of the more mature nature of this series. It's
Yeah.
left off of the app, and instead of being on the app, it's on like the Viz website, and you can get it off of Shueisha's
Hmm.
Manga Plus app. Basically, the idea here is there's this exorcist ninja dude who is hunting these things called Ayakashi, and I'm really dumbing this down. And the Ayakashi that he finds is this really strong one who he can't catch, and basically the thing uses this spell that turns him into a girl. So kind of like a Ranma 1/2 type deal, except instead
Okay.
of being like a temporary thing,
Yeah.
it's permanent. So this dude becomes a girl, and then the series relies a lot on this really fan service heavy comedy of a dude in a girl's body. I'm probably about 4 chapters behind right now because I just kind of lost interest after a while. It seemed like it might be going into a more story-heavy direction, where it's focusing more on expanding on like the characters, the other exorcist ninjas that are out there, and the related characters and all the different monsters, and how the character is going to get to turn back into a guy. But most of it is just comedy situations where it winds up resulting in some sort of fan service where the main character is doing something that is not particularly feminine, like doing something like, you know, sitting with his legs wide open, or their legs wide open, so it like gets you a crotch shot, or like laying down in a tank top to where it's like everything's just hanging out. So it doesn't really interest me so much with that kind of stuff. If it focused more on the plot, then I'd be fine. I would say for me, this one is a D. It doesn't fail. It's not absolutely abysmal, but it has a lot of work to do to become something that, in my opinion, be worthwhile.
Gotcha. Yeah, I figured as soon as you mentioned the whole Ranma aspect, I kept thinking it's going to go into a rabbit hole of pointless fan service.
Yeah, and it's like, since we've already seen the idea from Ranma like decades ago, I don't think that we need to see another gender bender type manga like that. It doesn't really apply anything. It doesn't really give us anything new, that is. That next one we don't recognize, unfortunately.
It's not Bone Collection. Is it? Because I have a list over here from Wikipedia. Which one is Guardian of the Witch? Could that be it?
I can search the image. Either way, I don't think either of us has read it.
Oh, no. My bad. Guardian of the Witch is this one over here, next to Dolphin. But this one is, let's see. No. If anybody in the chat happens to know the name, let us know, because I have no idea. So we're just going to leave that there. We also saw the release of Burn the Witch. Originally, I didn't think we were going to include this, but why the heck not? Burn the Witch, I thought it was just okay. It needed more, in my opinion. I made a video on it. We reviewed it on this network channel. It's a big, solid C, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's definitely a C. It relies a lot on the fact that it's a known creator, that it's Tite Kubo coming back to do work. And if it weren't someone that was already established, we wouldn't have gotten this. You know, we wouldn't have got anything else. And they've already said they're going to do the second season, so we don't know exactly when that's coming out. But I'll happily read along and hope that it trends towards a better direction. But as for now, it's very middling in quality.
I think I just on my video I just said I got a little bit put down by all the exposition. It's just plot device after plot device and character introductions and characters, instead of just focusing on a solid adventure between the two girls. I don't know. That was just my opinion. Don't burn us alive, guys. This next one is something really cool. Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin. Probably one of the weirdest entries, I would say, in 2020. What do you think of Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin?
This one has gone kind of up and down in quality for me, but overall I'd say that it's very strong. I would say that at its best it's an A, and at its worst it's a B. But the artwork is fantastic in this series, and for the story that it has had some really fantastic fights. There was one fight scene that, when did it happen? Like around chapter 10 or so, where the illustration was just amazing. And that was like around the time that I had started reading it. So I read up to that point and I was like, holy crap. Because it goes from like, at the beginning, it's just this kind of episodic, funny you know, cop series where this hard-boiled cop, like the title suggests, is relocated and is partnered up with this guy that has like a dolphin head, and they meet his daughter, and his daughter has this weird ability to just basically make things happen, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it plays out for comedy for the most part, but then like all of a sudden it goes into just straight up shonen action. I was like, holy crap, it was cool.
I at first I thought it was just going to be a comedy with a few action scenes here and there, but there are a couple chapters in where the story gets really dramatic and suspenseful because there's a lot of anthro animals, if you will.
Yeah.
And once you start digging into that lore, the series bumps up a level in the storytelling. But right now, it just goes back and forth between silly chapters and
Hmm.
serious stuff. And that's why I personally don't really see it as an A. If the story can sort of bring itself together or you know, do something more with it, I would bump it up to an A. But I think it's a, in my opinion, I think it's a B.
That's fair. I think that it definitely has the potential to go back to that point.
Yeah.
It definitely has the potential to go back there and be something better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just needs to, because it's introduced some really awesome concepts. It's
Oh yeah.
introduced some awesome concepts, some awesome characters, and it even gave us this like look at a greater threat that exists
Mm-hmm.
that could come and play a major part here. This feels like I've seen a lot of people compare some of the different series to this other series, but this one for me feels the most like it could be like something like Katekyo Hitman Reborn, where that series started out really like episodic and comedic, and then
Yeah.
it did progress. Like it kind of introduced concepts and ideas and characters, and then as it progressed, it really pushed those into the forefront. This could really, really do that as well.
I hope so. Yep. So, what about Guardian of the Witch? Have you read that?
No, I haven't read that one. So you can,
I have
yeah.
not read it either, so we're just going to leave it out. Next up is something that is so silly and so stupid that I love it. It is High School Family, Kokose Kazuko. Um, it's not your typical series. It's, I believe, each chapter is half the length of a regular
Hmm.
uh, chapter of the other series on there on that list. Um, it's such a stupid premise that I love it so much. You basically have this kid. He's going to join high school, and he finds out that his whole family is joining for some mysterious reason, and they all want to continue his journey in high school. You got his kid sister, mom, dad, and Gomez the cat, which is
Hmm.
my favorite character out of everything here. I love Gomez the cat. He's so wholesome, and everybody should check the series out just because there's a cat with a high school uniform attending class. That is amazing writing. I love it. So,
I think
what did you think of
it's
High School
fun. Like
Family?
it's silly and it's a funny
Yeah.
series. Um, but it's not something that like I don't think I'd go out of my way to read this. Like I read it every week as it comes out because it's something that's so easy to read. But it
Mm-hmm.
never is like it's never the series that like makes me laugh out loud. It's never the series that like makes me think beyond when I'm reading the chapter. Um, it's a silly idea. It's a silly premise, but
Yeah.
the what I had said earlier about A Gravity Boys in that like the comedy really lands when you understand the characters. This one, each of the characters doesn't have that much depth to them,
Oh yeah,
especially the main
definitely.
character. The main character is just average high school dude.
He's just
Um,
embarrassed all the time. That's it.
yeah, so like there's it's slowly giving you just a little bit of information about each of these characters so that you can understand where they're coming from and where the comedy is with them, but it doesn't succeed so much. And this is one that like it's wholesome and it's lighthearted and it's fun, but it's also one that I feel like I could see this not lasting for a while.
Yeah.
I would say this one at the best is a C. Um, it's a C or a D for me, but at the best a C.
I think you're right. I mean, I'm just because I'm saying everybody should check out Gomez, don't think I'm saying, oh, this is top tier material.
Right.
I know it's just okay, but it's a nice filler-ish slice of life comedy where you don't have to think too much and just enjoy the crazy antics. And it has that bizarre humor that's unlike the other comedy series on this Shonen Jump list. And um, I don't know. I was gonna say D, but I think it's a little bit worthy of a C in my opinion. But yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
it lasting that long. But I'm surprised it's still going actually, because after the
Right.
first few chapters, I'm like, yeah, I get the formula, but like, okay, maybe like 50 chapters or something, or maybe less. I don't know, 30, 40. We'll see. But we're good with C. Let's leave it at that. Next up, Magu-chan. God
This is
of Destruction.
another comedy series. So
Yep.
there's a lot of comedy series that launched this year.
Yep.
This one I can't explain it, but it gives me the feeling that another series gave me that I don't know that anyone has read.
Which one?
It was called Cerebrek. It's Cerberus spelt backwards.
I've heard that name, but I don't think I've read it.
I don't even know why it gives me the same feeling. I think the art style is somewhat similar, and the idea that it deals with like demons and stuff, and like demon gods and evil gods and stuff. That might be what it is. But that one was more action. But it was also a series that I just like. This one, I don't really see that much. There's not that much that I see in it, if I'm being honest. Like I know there's people that really enjoy it, and it's another one that can be silly at times, and like. And if you're a fan of this one, that's awesome. But like I just haven't. I read every chapter and I'm like, all right, let's see if it goes somewhere for me with this chapter. And then I read it and I'm like, not
Nope.
really. Didn't really do much. But it's a very simple premise. Evil god is found by a young girl on the beach, and she kind of keeps it as her pet, and it follows her around and stuff, and kind of grows attached to her, and it's just this fish out of water type of comedy situation where you have this evil god that hates humans and stuff, that's trying to live in the human world and just survive there, and they bring in other gods and like characters that are related to these gods and all that stuff to kind of fight against them, but
Yeah.
It's not anything that really ever does that much for me. What about you? How do you feel on that?
I really like it because it doesn't try and do too much. I compared it when I did my video on it, that it felt like 90s. I was going to say Viz. It's not Viz. 90s Nickelodeon TV shows with Magu-chan.
Sure,
It sort of
yeah, yeah.
reminded me of like Invader Zim, stuff like that. And even though practically every chapter is a story of the week, I don't know. I like it. It's a very silly, wacky comedy, and I like the interactions between the two characters. And then you got all the other gods that start showing up, and one's like this oogie boogie type starfish. I don't know. I like it. It relaxed me. It's what I'm trying to say, and I dig it.
What do you give it? Because I think I'll let you give it your rating since I'm a little more harsh on it.
There's not a lot of room because there's not it's not a huge list, so I can't group it with the others. I think it's a solid C in my opinion.
I think that's a pretty good rating for that. Even for myself, like I maybe I sound a lot harsher than I actually am on it, but it's at least entertaining, which is I can't say that so much for another series that's on this list.
I think Magu-chan might work a little bit better as an anime because of the comedy.
Yeah, yeah, I see that.
Because this reminds me of stuff like Umaru-chan and Squid Girl and series like that, where you don't have to do a lot of thinking and it's just a slice of life comedy. But yeah, next up, something that you and I both really love, Mashal,
That series is so good.
Magic and Muscles.
This
Uh,
one, like, I don't know about you, but when I first saw the first chapter was launched,
yeah,
I just like I thought it looked stupid. Like just flat out, I was like, this looks dumb. The picture is dumb, the premise is dumb, the name is dumb.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry,
so
I
real
was.
quick,
Yeah.
so we're doing only the weekly Shonen Jump ones. So Spy Family, Kaiju number 8, Hell's Paradise,
Those weren't bought.
Boruto. Those are all Jump Plus, so
Yeah.
that's why those aren't going to be here.
I wish they
Um,
would be included in the app so I could read them instead of looking at the website itself.
right. And then EQ, would you or have you dropped a series because it felt too much like a clone of another series? Um, I don't think I've dropped a series specifically for that reason yet.
I haven't. I'm not like too into the whole dropping and reading different series. It hasn't happened yet, but I could see it happening in the future. And Jujutsu, I could see why people would drop it. It's a fun series, but I could see why.
Okay, so anyway, Mashal. Yeah,
Oh,
did you feel the same way? Like that it just looked dumb?
oh yeah, the premise and the cover, you think this is just going to be a silly parody manga, nothing much to it.
Right.
But there's a lot of heart there underneath
And
it all.
it also, because it's like we already have Black Clover in the magazine, so I was like, why do we need another magic based
Yeah.
series?
Hmm.
And it looked, from like the appearance, I'm like, it looks like it's trying to be um like One Punch Man. Like, it has the simplistic art style for the character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if I mean, to be fair, it does have a lot of similarities with both of those series that I named, but it does so much to differentiate itself from those at the same time, that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me feel like it's just a amalgamation of two other series. It makes me feel like, oh, this is something new to enjoy.
Yeah.
The idea basically here is, in this world, everyone uses magic, and if you like everyone uses magic. There are no people that don't use magic. And the main character, Mash, Vandred or whatever, he can't use magic.
Hmm.
And his adopted father basically hides him from society because he can't use magic. And you find out in the first chapter that it's not really that no one can, or that everyone can use magic. It's that when they find out someone can't use magic, they basically disappear them.
Yeah.
And so he's worried about um, he's worried about his son getting taken by the government and stuff. So one day Mash is out, like, running errands or whatever, and he accidentally gets found out that he can't use magic. And
Yeah.
so they come to his home and he's hiding, and the government people come in and they're like, we need to take your son. And the old man's like, I don't have a son, or whatever he says, like, there's no one here. And then they, do some shit to him, and Mash is like, nuh-uh. And he just comes through. And it turns out that, like, all these years that he's been in hiding, his dad has, like, basically had him working out physically. So he can't use
Hmm.
magic, but his body is so well trained. It's very much like, a Saitama type deal in One Punch Man, where, like, he doesn't have any superpowers inherently, but he's super freaking strong. So Mash comes out and just beats the tar out of all these people, and they're like, okay, like, you can stay, you can exist. We're not gonna disappear you, but you have to enroll in magic school and be like the best student. So in
Yeah.
the second chapter and on, it changes setting to a school that's very much like almost entirely a Hogwarts clone, like
Hmm.
down to the houses and like getting points and
Oh,
them
yeah.
having their own like Quidditch and the classes
Even
that
the
they take,
clothing.
the clothing that they wear, everything
Yeah.
is basically Hogwarts, except not written by J.K. Rowling, thank God. And then also it's a lot funnier and a lot more shonen manga-esque in
Yeah.
introducing like every character has their own special magic that they use, and Mash, a lot of the comedy comes from Mash like hiding his lack of magic, um, which is part of my favorite parts of it are like towards the beginning, like when he's trying to hide that he can't use magic, so he's just using his strength and his speed to act like he can, fly on a broomstick, or act like he can, do whatever, like open door with magic and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's really hilarious the way it works. But like as it goes forward, they introduce more characters that have different uh different, what's the word I'm looking for, drive and different ambitions and stuff, and
Motivations.
yeah, different motivations. They've introduced some antagonistic characters, and it's still pretty early on. They're only about 40 chapters in, so we're still kind of
Yeah.
getting introduced to this world. But I love this series. Like, it's so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's I think it's one of the top contenders of the year, honestly, and I like that. Um, I said this in my video. It teaches readers, kids specifically, it's okay to be different. It's a good thing, and I like that. I like that sort of message, and obviously having the comedy aspect and the, him being so ridiculously powerful and not having magical elements just makes it a fun experience for the reader. So I think Mashl's an A, to be honest with you.
If I'm being honest, like, I love that series so much, I would even say it could be an S. I just thought Babylon's question was funny, about, if everyone has individual magic skills, what do they learn in the school? And so I just answered with herbology. But it's true though, like, they have their own abilities and stuff that they
Yeah.
have almost inherently in some cases, but they do learn the basics. It's like, you go to school and you have your own knowledge. Like, I might know a lot about literature, but I'm going to go to school and still have to study science and math. So they're doing the
Mhm.
same thing. It's like you study, they're studying the magic basics, potions and herbology and all the other classes that you
Yeah.
get from
Fine
the
tuning
Harry
their skills.
Potter. Yeah. So yeah, I love it. If you want to put it, yeah, A is fine for me. I think that this one could absolutely be like the next big thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
This
I think
one,
it's selling well because there are a couple. I think there's like one or two uh, manga that are out, manga volumes
yeah,
or
at
something.
least a couple volumes. The first volume comes out in English in the summer of 2021, I believe. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like it. And the art style like grew on me extremely fast also, because at first I looked at the
Hmm.
pictures and I was like, it's just really simple, whatever. But like when it starts getting into the action sequences and the actual fight scenes
Oh
between the
yeah,
characters,
it's
holy crap, like
gorgeous. Yep.
it is so good looking. So good
Hmm.
looking. So yeah,
The
definitely read this
mangaka
one.
has a great eye for movement because you don't
Yes.
get lost in the fights.
Yes.
Everything's so
Yeah.
smooth looking. I'm like, yeah, all right, good.
Yeah,
But
that doesn't happen all the time. Like, I know, especially earlier My Hero stuff, like that series was
no,
so
yeah,
muddy in how kinetic it was that it was
yeah,
almost hard to follow everything.
yeah. Next up, we got another. I find it funny that we've been talking nonstop about comedy, uh, and here we have another comedy, Mori King, which I think might be one of my favorites, personal favorites of the year. What do you think about Mori King?
It is my of all of the like comedy series, this one's definitely my favorite of those.
Yeah.
Um, it's very clever. It's not my favorite of all of these series personally. I think it's very strong. Um, it's just so silly. Like the way, and I remember reading it. This was another one that I didn't have much of an impression on before I started reading it. But as soon as I did, I think I even like told you guys, you and some of the other guys in the chats, like, this series is so fun. Like, it's so dumb and so fun.
Yep. It just has a great time with so many wacky characters. And if you love, Animal Kingdom and insects and all that stuff, you're in for a treat.
You mentioned that in your review video of it, that like it does a really good job of giving us the aspects of these insects, because it's a series that focuses on these anthropomorphic insect people that are trying to fight over who's going to be the king of the forest, and then ultimately it expands from just like the forest in Japan to being like the king insect of Earth or whatever. But each of these characters have a lot of these aspects about them that they borrow directly from real life aspects about these insects and stuff. So there's a lot of the comedic aspects of the series that rely on that, like and the kid Shota treating Moriking, who's this like full grown man bug, like he's his pet. Like you see the scene where he's got the leash on and he's flying above the kid, like the kid's holding the leash, like treating him like he's a normal insect that he's holding as a pet. It's just hilarious. The for the people that are not familiar, the idea here is this kid was raising this rhinoceros beetle as his pet, and when the rhinoceros beetle hatches out of its cocoon, instead of being a normal beetle, it hatches into this naked, full-grown man. And he's just like, what's up? I'm Moriking. Like, it's me. I'm your pet. And the kid, Shota, is like, hey, it's Moriking. And then his sister, Shoko, is like, sister. What? Like, her reactions are always like, big eye, like big mouth. What the hell's going on? And it's hilarious. Like, I absolutely love the reactions that she has, because she's the only one that really acts that way. Like the parents and the grandparents are all like, "Oh, it's Moriking. It's Moriking."
Everybody's cool with it. She's us basically, and she's like, "Are you seeing this? This is so stupid and ridiculous.
Why is there a naked man standing in the middle of our house?" And then it starts to push into like action sequences, but even then, like the action sequences are usually really funny. Like the insects will be using like techniques that they would have in real life, but it's funny the way that they translate. And some of the fights that they have, instead of being like an actual like fight where they're going head to head, it's like they did the one where it's like the beach contest or whatever, where they're like seeing who can win each contest on the beach. That was some fun stuff. But it's some good stuff. I was worried that it was going to end recently, and instead of ending, they were like, all right, well, now we're going to the next arc. And I was like, cool, we're still going. It was awesome, because like, I was like, I hope it doesn't end, because I want to see more of these insect people introduced, just so we can see like how it is. So I think for me, like, this one's that's a B. If you want it at anything higher, it's on you, man. I don't mind.
I think, personally, I think we can move Mashal up to an S, and I want to move Moriking to an A, because this legit cracked me up, and I love Moriking. I am hooked. This is one of my favorite series of the year. I think the comedy is just wacky enough where, unlike the other series, this one knows what it's doing, and it balances things, at least for me, a little bit better than the others. Whereas Magu-chan, focuses more on the two characters and different situations. This one just it keeps doing the world building, but it never loses sight of why it's funny in the first place. And even when you get like this big crazy bad guy, you're still having fun with it, and the art is clean and nice to look at all the way through.
It's going exactly in the direction that I was hoping it would too. Like, exactly what you're saying. Like it brings the action and it has the antagonist, but it doesn't lose sight of the comedic aspect that makes it good. So I hope
Yeah.
this gets an anime adaptation. I hope this gets some recognition because it
Oh
does
yeah, that'd
deserve it.
be awesome. Yeah, definitely. If they do get, if it does get licensed over here, I will
Hmm.
definitely pick up Modi King physically to own
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
Uh, this one is, I need to look at the name, Our Blood Oath. I have to admit, I kind of don't like manga anime vampire stories unless it's something like Hellsing. These types of
Yeah.
vampire stories generally do not appeal to me. I read the first chapter and did not kind of dig it, so I dropped it.
I'm still keeping up with it because just out of the habit of keeping up with everything that's on the app.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I said that on my video. I said this is the only one out of all 12 of these that I actually do not like. Um, it's just I don't see anything redeeming in it. And I know there was at least one person in my video that commented because I said in there, I said, someone out there probably likes it, and I'm very sorry to have disappointed you. And they were
And he
like,
appeared.
they came out and they're like, yeah, I actually do like it, but even I can see that it's not a good series. So even the one person in the world that liked the series was like, nah. Um, it just
It's
doesn't
all
do
right.
anything special. It's like even it's been going for what, like a dozen chapters or something now, and there's like no semblance of an ongoing plot. It's just like vampire dude wants to protect humans, and then there's other vampire dudes that don't want to protect humans. So like they're like upset with each other. And I'm like, okay, well
Yeah.
that I don't care.
Mars, thank you for joining. And Johnny, my man. What's up, fellas? Babylon Shadows. Gio, have you seen Red Vampire Hunter D? I've only seen the two movies. I've never read the original source material. I own the two movies on DVD, actually. So that's my knowledge is up to just those two, which I think one was like book 3 and the other like book 7 or something like that. I don't know. Tyler says vampires seem so overdone in manga. It's just you got characters like the Hellsing manga, which is super
Hmm.
chaotic, action packed, whatever. That's different. But modern vampire anime and manga, um, they seem to lean more on the emo, gothic
Yeah.
romance aspect, and they're all like pretty to look at, and that's it. I don't know. I didn't dig it.
All right. Next is Phantom Seer.
Phantom Seer. All right, this may not be the best supernatural manga, but I love the art.
Dude,
It's
I
my
was gonna say the
favorite looking.
same thing, man. Like Phantom Seer is some of the prettiest shit in the magazine right now. And the
Yeah,
story has not really gotten to the point where I'm like, this is great shit. Like, this is a great series. But
yeah,
like, I can see that potential and it is right there. Like, this one has the potential to flip from being average to awesome real
yeah.
quick. And
Mm-hmm.
even if it doesn't, if this series gets canceled soon, whatever, that artist is going places. They're going to do
Oh
something
yeah.
else. But the scenery, the monsters,
Yep.
the abilities it is one of the most beautiful series.
Yep. I think I can best describe it as like a grown up or a grown up version of something like Shaman King or with a little punky edge like Death Note. It's a mishmash of things. Uh, but you got your kids and they're shamans and they're fighting evil spirits, and the main kid here he's a super powerful kid. He's got wicked abilities, but he doesn't want to use them for a specific reason. We're not going to spoil it. You're going to have to read to find out. And he meets up with this girl, one of the other leads, who is what was the abilities or her title? I forget.
Oh, I don't remember.
Basically, she is aware of the spirit world and
Hmm.
detects spirits when they show up and whatnot. This is not a huge plot twist or spoiler, so don't freak out. We find out very early on that it's not that she's aware, it's that she's sort of like a beacon for all these demons and spirits, so they constantly appear to attack her, which has caused multiple accidents for other people around her. And this kid saves her and all that stuff, and they form this friendship and yada yada. It's stuff that we've seen before. It's nothing revolutionary, but like we've said, the art in it easily for me at least a B level just on the art alone.
Yeah, I'll go with you. I'll go with you on that one.
Yeah. And I believe I reviewed it on my channel, and I said it has great horror vibes with those monsters. Some of the coolest looking monsters in
Yeah,
Shonen Jump.
really awesome art.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Me and Roboco.
I don't know how everyone else feels about this, but I love this series. I
It's
think
so
it's
funny.
so funny. It's so
Yeah.
cute and funny and like it's just a very nice laid back comedy series that pokes a lot of fun at different. So the more manga that you've read, the funnier this is going to be, because a lot of it is like comedy that references and plays off of uh things that you see in other series like Dr. Slump and Chobits, and it even pokes fun at some of the currently running stuff like My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Every chapter is another little short story that revolves around Roboco, who is this robot maid who was bought, like she was like the discount robot maid that was bought for
Yeah.
this kid, and she shows up and she's very much not how you expect for, or how he expects a maid to be. All the other ones are, you know, the typically attractive, slender, cute, whatever, wearing the maid uniform, and she comes in on a motorcycle and she's very like buff and rounded, and she has I think she makes a point about her strong knees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And her like her mannerisms are just not typical, but it's so endearing, and like everyone just very quickly in the series falls for her and like loves her as part of the family, part of the gang. And that's where I think this series really shines, is that like everyone cares about everyone in this series. Like everyone cares about Roboco cares about everyone. The friends
Yeah.
are all really nice to each other. They make a point of like, even though at the beginning of the series it seems like the kids' friends are kind of bullies, it's
Yeah.
like they're really not. They're actually really cool. They're really sweet kids. um, I really like this series. I don't think that it gets as much attention as I believe it should.
Oh yeah. There was even a reference to Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm like, whoa, wow! All right, this is really up to date. I like it. It's silly. There's a lot of gag comedy in there. One of my favorite bits early on in the series is when they go to the mountains, and one of the main characters, I forgot his name, was it Sota or something like that, or Soto or whatever. Um, there's a giant bear, and one of his friends kind of resembles a gorilla.
Yes.
So Roboco takes a kid, and he's like, "Launch me at him because I can take out that bear." And she grabs the kid and just throws him so hard, and it literally misses the mark, and the kid goes off flying. Yeah, I was laughing so hard. I loved it. And like you said, the more you know about manga tropes and series and Shonen Jump as a whole, you're gonna love the series more and more as you keep reading it. So, what do we rate this? What do we rate this series?
I think it's a solid B. It's not as strong in every aspect as Mori King is,
Yeah,
but it really brings the comedy. It really does. And like you said, if you're familiar with manga tropes, if you've been reading manga for a while, then you're going to get a lot more out of this than someone who does not know a lot about other things, because otherwise a lot of the jokes are going to be lost on you.
yeah.
Also, I
And
really like the chapter where she like has a helicopter on her head and like flies into the mountains to deliver someone pizza.
pizza,
And
yeah.
and the guy like, who are you? Like, I didn't, like, he's dying in the mountains, like he's about to die like at the top of this snowy mountain, and she shows up with a pizza for him.
I didn't ask for a pizza, but thank you. You saved my life. Oh man, it's so good. Yeah, definitely check it out, guys. What is this? I think this is something you've read, right?
I don't think that is. That's I think one of the series that got canceled earlier in the year.
Then which one is Bone is not on here, right? Is
What
this Bone?
I think Tyler
Bone?
said in the chat that the first one was Bone Collector.
Oh, okay.
So that third one, I don't know what that is in particular, but next to it is definitely one of the strongest series that's in the
Oh
magazine
yeah.
right now, and that is Undead Unluck.
I'm gonna save everybody the trouble. This is easily S tier material.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. This, along with Mashal, when I was reading at first, I was like, Mashal's number one, and that's where I ended on my last video. But as I've been reading forward,
Yeah.
I feel like Undead Unluck has surpassed Mashal for me just a bit. And I think this is going to be big. This is going to be a really big one. Everyone needs to read this. It's just a cool premise. And only is it a cool premise, but it has like two different twists so far that have happened in the manga that like really just changed my perspective from being like, at first I was like, all right, well, this is fun. And then the first twist happens and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. And then the second twist happens and I was like, oh shit. Alejandro says that it was Time Paradox Ghostwriter. So that's not one that
I was
read.
just looking it up. He's right. That is Time Paradox. I haven't read it, so.
So Undead Unluck, though, basically at the beginning, you have this girl who is about to kill herself. She's tired of her life because she cannot have any sort of direct contact with anyone. She's like an extreme version of Rogue from the X-Men. If she touches someone, they get hurt. But in her case,
Yep.
like if she has, the stronger the relationship with someone that she has, the more hurt they're going to be. And just out of chance, this guy comes around and haphazardly rescues her from killing herself. And it winds up being that she's cool to hang around him and to have a relationship of sorts with him in a partnership because he can't die. He's undead and she's unluck because she's unlucky with her whole thing, and he can't die. So she can do whatever, and they can like stay together, and all the stuff that would happen to other people, if it happens to him, it doesn't matter. He can stay alive. And they go on the run from these people from this organization called the Union. And that's the beginning of the series. I don't really want to spoil anything going forward from there because that's where it starts getting twisty. But the first parts of it are basically those two characters on the run from the members of the Union who are trying to capture them because of their abilities. And then from there, it just goes off into really awesome directions. The artwork's great. The characters are great. The powers are great. The story is intriguing. It goes in a lot of different directions in breakneck speed. I highly recommend checking it out. Read it all. Just sit down and binge through it all in one day, and you will not be sad until you run out of chapters to read. And you'll be like, damn it, now I have to wait a week for the next chapter.
Yeah, it does a lot in such a short period. When you get to the first big fight with the character that's invisible, I'm not going to say what or how, that in another series would be like near the finale or something like that. I don't know. It's just a really fast-paced manga. It doesn't mess around.
Yeah. The next one is Zipper Man. That's another one that I haven't read. So we're going to get to the last two, and these are the two most recent ones. I don't think you've read Build King, have you?
No, and I didn't want to read it. Simply, I'm not as upset as other people because of the mangaka. I was just upset the fact that Viz made such a fuss about taking down Act Age because of something that happened with the mangaka, and yet this gets a free pass, even though a lot of people were saying, "Hey, don't publish it or whatever."
Yeah,
I was just a little bit ticked off of that. That's why I didn't read it or make a video on it, so I passed on this one.
I read this one. The first chapter is really strong. So this is the same. This is Shimbukuro, the same guy that did Toriko. And of course, I don't want to give a bunch of information on here and waste that time because I actually have to get going pretty soon. But he got up to some things that are not exactly legal. He got into some trouble. But this was years ago. This was before he did Toriko that this happened. And then he had Toriko, and that lasted for quite a while, 40-something volumes. And this is his new series. The idea of the series Build King is basically that in this world there are building things like building houses and buildings and stuff like that is like the main thing in this world. Like you are the shit. Like if you're building stuff, that's the best way I can put it, I guess. Instead of being about pirates or ninja, it's about people who build houses. And the main character is this kid who we find out is obscenely strong, even though he kind of hides it. And he has this special hammer that, like, if he hits stuff, he can repair things with one side and he can demolish things with the other side of the hammer. So just this magical ability type thing. And in the first chapter, they introduce a bunch of the ideas of this world where there are these legendarily built things like an upside down castle and some place that exists in the clouds and something in the mountains and blah 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 blah, and he wants to build one of those are called the Build Kings. He wants to make one of those, and so he decides that he needs to learn more about building, learn more about how to do this properly, and he also probably needs to get a crew together of people who can help him. So I think we're 4 or 5 chapters deep right now, and it's very much like the first chapter was really strong. I really enjoyed it, and then after that, it's just been like, okay, it's fine, it's still going, it's not bad. So I would say it started out where I would be like, man, that was an A at the beginning, and then now I want to put it a C right now because it's trending downwards in quality, in my opinion. So, I hope that it picks back up.
It could go down to D. I'm gonna move this here because
Okay. But yeah, it's not great. It's not bad so far, but it started out like awesome, and then it was like okay, and now I'm like, man, for how good that first chapter was, I'm kind of disappointed now. And I think, like, if it was something that didn't start with such a strong first chapter, I'd probably be like, yeah, it's a solid B. But right now, that's probably why. But it could go in a good direction.
This is talking about Build King.
Build King.
Yeah. Somebody commented, Johnny. Magu for him is definitely A tier, and that's awesome, man. I love Magu-chan. It's just I like Mori King better. I'm sorry. So I moved this here because I'm taking a look at these 3, or at least these 2, and they're a lot better than this pack of hooligans. So last but not least, we've got Sakamoto Days, which recently debuted in this past November. I did a impressions video on it, and I really like it. It's a simple series, but it has a lot of heart, and it's cool to see like a chubby character be the main lead because he really let himself go. Basically, you've got this top tier assassin, and he fell in love. And, his now wife doesn't want him to do the whole assassination thing. So he basically retired and put on some weight and is the owner of this, what do you call it?
Like store, a convenience store.
Convenience store, thank you.
Yeah.
With ramen and candy and all that stuff. And his past is catching up to him, and certain characters want to take him out. And I don't know. I just think it's a fun series that has potential. I really love the action in it. The action is outstanding, and it's so cool to see all the movements and all that stuff. It's one of my favorite looking series from the list.
It is. This one had a really, really strong start, and unlike Build King, I don't think it slowed down in those first few chapters. This one has a lot of good potential. It does remind me a lot of The Way of the House Husband, where like that was the same idea, where it was a Yakuza member who gets married and then devotes his life to like chilling out and just being a great husband. This one instead is like, it's the same idea, except he was an assassin. So same basic idea, but this has more action sequences because it's almost like you said, like his life is catching up to him. So like he gets involved in situations that push him into almost acting like he was still involved in that life. Which makes for some really cool stuff. And I think it's making way for a really awesome storyline coming up. This is a new series done right. You want to stick the landing, and you want to keep that hype through the first several chapters. This is the way that you do that. There's other series that just don't hit the mark right away. There's other series where it's like the first few chapters, I just don't know about it. I don't know how I feel. This one was not ambiguous at all. This is great. I would say this right now, it's hard to tell. My heart tells me an A, my mind tells me a B, but whatever you feel is correct, Gio, I'm going to tell you to do it.
I'm going to go with an A because it's empty out here with Bloody King just by itself.
Can we there's an F, right, that we can put Blood Oath on?
How do I do this? Add a row below. Oh, shoot. Wait a minute. How do I delete?
Is it not already?
Delete row. F. All right.
So just like
down you go.
Drop that. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with this.
And don't hate us, but I'm just going to add everything else here at a D level because whatever. And I know somebody's going to be really upset and be like, that's not a D. I'm sorry. I didn't want to leave everybody. I wanted to add everybody to a list, to a row. Didn't stay a D, I think. This is also a D. This seems fine as a C. Same with Burn the Witch. Magu-chan. I'm sorry, Magu-chan. I think oh, this had a double S.
There's a double S here.
Oh no, delete row. I don't give a crap about that.
We've already made our minds up on this.
Yeah. I think we're good. I think it's a
this is a solid list.
Yeah, it's obviously this year leaned more towards the bizarre and the funny.
Yeah.
Instead of the Shonen Jump action tropes and like your Naruto and My Hero Academia and all that stuff. These series, what I really liked at the end of the day is that they branched out into different territory. You got series about magic, zombies, anthropomorphic insects, shaman zombies, gods of destruction. So you got a little bit of everything. Space adventures, witches.
You know what's also cool is like the spread. If you don't count the ones that you move to D because we haven't read them, it's 1F, 2D, 3C, 4B, 2A, 2S. So it's like this nice little bell curve almost of quality, which is nice because then you have a lot of things that are kind of right in the middle that have a decent amount of a decent quality, not amazing, not bad at all. It's just I think it's a good period of the magazine right now, which the whole reason I wanted to do this show and I did the show that I did on my channel was because I had people ask, like, everything is ending. Everything is coming to a close. Like, what's still in the magazine? What's going to be worthwhile? And this is the answer. Like, this is what's in the magazine. This is what's worth paying attention to. Gleipnir is not in Weekly Shonen Jump, and that cover has a girl that's popping outside of a teddy bear body. So that's what's up with Gleipnir. That one also has a lot of fan service and straight up nudity in it. But I gotta go. So I don't know if you need to wrap up with anything or want to take questions, but I gotta go. And
no. Let's wrap up here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm glad 2017 Jess could join us. Hopefully 2020 Jess could join sometime. But we got 2017 Jess regardless. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This is our list. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know in the comment section down below if you're watching this at a later time. Thank you everybody in the chat for participating. You guys are excellent. I love each and every one of you, even that one weird person. But thank you everybody. As always, I want to remind you guys of our wonderful sponsors. When these books become available and you get actual physical releases, you can go ahead and grab them at InStockTrades.com. InStock Trades, where you can get your favorite comic or manga at 50% off or more. I don't know. The discounts are crazy over there. You got to check it out. You got fantastic customer service, wonderful packaging, and if you order $50 or more, guess what? You get shipping. Free shipping is awesome. Trust me. So yeah, visit our sponsor's website, InStockTrades.com, for all your manga and graphic novel needs. So thank you to them for sponsoring the show. Thank you to my co-host, the wonderful Omnibus collector, Riley. Where can they find you on the YouTubes?
On the Omnibus Collector, of course. For the 5 people out there who don't already subscribe to my channel, who are watching our channel, that's where you can find me. I am finishing up editing a video of my top 10 ongoing manga series right now. I literally have iMovie up on my computer, and I am at the 32 out of 40 minute mark, wrapping up the editing on that. So it's a decently lengthy video.
Nice.
So that's going to come up soon. I have 2 haul videos that are oh yeah, the beards. 2 haul videos that are in the pipeline as well, and hopefully this weekend I can start getting back ahead of my videos and all that jazz. Anyway,
cool.
And man, before you sign off your side, just wanted to answer him. We're going to do I think Wednesday for next week. That's what we were discussing with Jess.
And I think we're probably going to do that for the following week.
Yeah. And Gio, where can they find you?
You can subscribe to my channel, We Can Geek Them, where I talk about a manga, a little bit of comics here and there, a week in geekdom. So that's about it, everybody. Thank you so much. If you're watching this at a later point, leave a like and tell us what you think of the Shonen Jump series and what you would rank them, because this is just our opinion. If you think they're different, hey, that's awesome. This just happens to be what we thought on the fly here live on the Omnibus Collectors Network. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. God bless. Stay safe out there, and we will catch you guys on the next stream.